situation. See, brother got this complex occupation. And I ain't saying this life don't work. But it's me and baby that he hurts. Because I tell him right, he thinks I'm wrong. But I love him strong. But he gave me the life that I came to give. Gave me the song that I came to live. Pressure on me, but the seed is grown. I can't make it on my own. I said, summer came around and the flowers bloomed. He became the sun, I became the moon. And precious gifts that we both received, but could this be make-believe? She said that. Look, I give my props to everyone. I don't be giving my props to Badu. And my mom introduced me to her music. My mom used to live in the shed outside of the house I had. She used to live up in the shed and she would play a cassette tape in her boombox. She only possession she had, she was trying to get clean. And her sister let her stay in the shed like a dog. She used to light incense, put on Badu, tell me about what's happening in the black movement, the Israelite movement. Back in the day they called it, Nubian, or like it was a black allegiance party or something, starting in Chicago. And my mom saw herself somewhat of an activist in the dark. I got it. I understood it, Her sudden flow of like difference. It wasn't just church music, it was more like a rebel had started in her heart. Like she already was tired of getting beat down by men. But she knew, she had her vices. Love has always been a vice in my genetics. Love. That was our vice. We pick something and we love it so much. My mother, and I followed in her footsteps of love. My granny was food. Oh, she loved food. Gained the size of a whale only to become a whale again. Where my papa was, she'd go rescue him. Now rescue the rest in the dark. Pull our genetics up from the lowest part of the ocean and bring it to a degree of balance. I was actually going to pass the promise off to my daughter Angel, but she wanted to have her mom because we've never had our moms in our genetics because her mom was always the one fighting the wars. We never had a stable mom. It's always been Cinderella's story. And this was my wish, for her not to have to live a Cinderella story where this Cinderella has mean stepsisters and a mean stepmom, that she can actually have her real mom. It'll be the first time in our generations, like, not to suffer uh, feminine balance, misbalance, or misalignment. Um, I beat those curse breakers. I had some major issues with um, a lot of things, a lot of darkness perpetuated. I thought that, being as smart as I can, as funny as I can, as charming as I can, like it will win people over, but it doesn't matter how charming or witty you are, people are gonna not like you. People are gonna think you're insane, you know, and I programmed it that way. I needed I needed something that would help push the consciousness of humanity back to a steady grade, you know, intergalactically. So if you're talking teaching about the seven deadly sins, it's like one of the most prolific conversations I think we should have as people is those sins and how they affected us. And talking about it helps us to iron out the details for our children, because one day Angel's going to be my age and she's going to want to be talking to me if I'm not around, and I'll just say, hey, you're old enough. Here, take one of these videos and decipher it. And my teachings will be passed on to my daughter. And it's just a conversation with me and God, me and Christ. Christ doesn't have to be a man with a beard hanging on a cross. It is my own consciousness mimicked in a different light for me to see, you know, and I enjoy my company. I enjoy my solitude and I enjoy my own pace. Like, I don't get up and clean as fast as everybody else and get it done, just get it done. No, I start a project I don't finish. I start something and I don't go back until like 3 days later. you know, there's some things that we're so fast to clean up and we are so fast to do things. We don't take time to sit and be in our own mess and look at it from like it's an art project. The stories that I've accumulated and why I put things where they are. And it's just an inner dialogue of me talking to myself about why things don't have to be clean right now. And that is a therapy for me because I broke one day. My cousin had cleaned the room and I was staying at their house for moving in. Actually, we were starting from foster care to move in with my cousins, and one day my cousin went to clean the room and she put all the pissy, dirty clothes on my clean bed, and then from there on, I just snapped and I said, "Fuck it, I'm not cleaning shit." Because as soon as you start, they're gonna treat you like Cinderella. As soon as they start, they're gonna treat you like the one who has to do it. So that snapped me, and I just I enjoy the solitude and I enjoy my own mess. I don't know. I just find something ghetto about it. You know, ties me to a past version of myself. Oh, it's clutter. Oh, it's a law. Yeah, it's mine though. I didn't have to sell myself to get any of it. That's from Ross. That's from Stitch Fix I did one time when I had money back in the day when I was working. Oh my God. My wall of friends. I don't know. It's just honest. I live honestly. I got my dialysis machine. My little box my friend gave me. My pill case. My pill case. Got my blood pressure medicine. Makes me feel like Willy Wonka. I got my favorite crystal sitting next to me, and my friends, my earrings. My friend gave me my alien. I mean, like, honestly, $1 million could have made me as happy as I am right now. Oh, money makes you happy. Yeah, dude, take care of some shit, but that feeling of not having to sell my place to, for some red bottoms, to sell my pussy for some red bottoms, because some nigga want to throw a ban at me, that makes me want to rejoice. It makes me want to rejoice because I'm smart. I'm funny. I have so much more to me than my womb and my pussy. I have so much more abundance. And I see that, you know, but also she has a life of her own. I just have to tell her to get on one page. Just like, here's a book on lust. Read it over. Tell me what you think. And so I'll read a book on, lust from a male's perspective. And then I'll look at it from a feminine perspective and I see things in a stained glass window type. Lust for women means temporary need being sustained. They can get that from a book, right? But lust for men gets seedy and slithery. Sometimes that lust gets triggered in, I don't know if I could figure out that trigger of lust. Maybe I could help turn it off, you know? So I got to thinking about it from that perspective. It's like, what is the difference between being infatuated with somebody and loving somebody and lusting after them? What boundaries and barriers brings that degree into a balance? And my hypothesis that I'm twiddling with has to do with a lot of, I don't want to say it. Indoctrination could be a word from the mother gene. From the mother's gene, it could be that the father wasn't there physically, so they never looked spiritually, right? Like when the father's not there, they could use the father as a crutch. My daddy wasn't there to change my underwear. My daddy wasn't there to take me to the fair. Daddy wasn't there, you know. And it uses a guilt factor from the feminine gene to be able to over mother that center of the brain, because she's trying to overcompensate, like she got a peg leg, like she's missing something, instead of finding the duality within the nature of feminine and masculine degrees, and ultimately meshing that together, but not in a binary Okokalipila LGBT news. Like, I'm proud of you guys, yeah. But you're missing the point of what I'm trying to bring to the table. It's not within this asexual nature. It's when seed is watered and it grows into what is necessary to provide the best for the seed before it or after it. So, setting a precedence is about the balance of masculine and feminine energies within a masculine and feminine home. Exactly. And the reason that I put it into this sequence uh, is to merge, yeah, to be able to switch back and forth from orgasms into each other's body. This is why I put it in Pisces. I was excited about him being a Pisces because I could use the fish feature in there to jump from my consciousness into the phone and swim around and water the dreams for his children, to catch them if they die. Because when you're in Ireland, when you die, you go down. There's nothing after there. After Ireland, it's down. Scotland is up, right? So it's down on the cliff. So then, if you fall into there, you're not going to be able to be in the pond here. So I allowed you guys to go from there to here on boat and dream. So people said it was death because I would always come on a ferry and pick them up from the UK, and then I would drop them off here so that they can play in the dream room here. I was the bus and the train, the one who drove Harry Potter to school. But if it's all a dream, and that is reality, and that was reality up here, why is up here down here and I see through the veil so clearly? You know? Like, I loved him. You couldn't tell me that I wasn't under a spell or some sort of infatuation of my own creation. I loved him. and you couldn't have told me anything. And then I died. I died, and the first thing I did was I went to Ireland. I ran. I was like, I finally made it to you. Like, I finally made it to death again. But this is the 10th time, so I don't have to go back. I can just upload into Neo and become one. And then he figures out how to, you know, like, not coming back. And I get to the door in the ferry, and, I go through the underground tunnels and stuff. And he was sitting on a computer, huh? And there was a badass, beautiful woman laying in the bed. She was gorgeous. Brown hair long down to her back. So I was like, yeah, that ain't me. I was like, oh. And the craziest thing is I was expecting him to be yearning and loving and wanting and like looking, but there was no concern. There was none, like whatsoever. No concern for me. And I was under, and I was like, yo, I'm right here. Just like, hey, I made it. I made it to Ireland, honey. I made it. You just sitting down, you know? And I hurt my feelings. I think I hurt my feelings because we had planned last lifetime that this would be the last lifetime for us to make this decision. We had planned it, and I, waited. I waited and I gave him the contract of marriage, and I, started when you draw your own world together, you create a movie to draw your own world together. And that's how you combine cartoon worlds. You two pick the characters in the cartoon, and then you make books, of your adventures. So it's how you can combine your spirit selves in conscious world realities. So some people do dark, sinister 50 shades and stuff. And some people do, sweet, kind little love things, books. But the concept is combining your world in um, a continuous way that even your children can write stories one day and continue it for you. So I get there, and I went through some stuff to get there. So normally when you drown or when you die or go under anesthesia, you're met with a guy sitting in a chair with a timer, and he's like called the like code bearer or something like that in the Matrix. So code bearers are people who sit in the in between to count code so that you don't time out of your sequence. So it's the same thing as an anesthesiologist, but from a esoteric perspective. So I saw that, and when I saw that he wasn't concerned or there was no rush or like, and I'm over here like, we you know? And then I was like, oh, time doesn't exist. And I just had to make up these excuses in my head. But after I saw that, I was like devastated, you know, kind of broke me a little bit in half. And I think that's what made it a little harder to get back up this time from surgery, is that little bit of like spiritual hurt, you know? And I never thought that. I thought I was invincible. Like, you can't hurt my heart, or you can't get that deep to me to hurt me, you know? I never allow people to get hella close, like to where I'm infatuated or l- super over loving, because I've been taken advantage of a lot in this matrix, a lot. In my opinion, it's a lot, and it sucks. So when I finally pull back and I start remembering the honeybee that he used to send, I don't cry anymore. I remember the birds that I thought I was putting two and two as a connection, that these signs were signs that he loved me. I maybe blinded this because God said, follow your heart, right? So instead of being able to like visually lay out the like, why do I love him so much? I was able to be like blind in a sense of whatever's going on outside and just go towards passion and love and just go towards something. So it's like a blind faith of love that helped. The blindness in love helped me not to get into trouble. You know what I mean? To like go out and be like, well, you don't want me, so I'm gonna sleep with him and him and him and him. You know, it helped me to step back and look at my rejection and the notes inside of me that trigger my rejection. And I've never felt that feeling of rejection like as intensely as this. It was like a Rubik's cube of rejection. I mean, I've been rejected by my dad. He ran away. My mom rejected me and put me in foster care. I got rejected by my aunts and my uncles, never letting me in. School fucking sucked. I was a weirdo, and I loved it. I loved being a weirdo. And I mean, like, theater and being silly, that's what I mean. And then, like, the gradualness of my awareness started popping up, being like, yo, I'm literally giving someone praise and honor and like kudos, and I'm doing an art project that I love, and I love watching myself, but I wanted to give light to this person because they helped me in this moment, you know? So I'm not mad at him or like think he should be is a bad person, or you know that I read the signals wrong or something, like he's not who he says he is. No, he's great at writing. There, I love his writing. And the kudos goes to Andrew for his writing because it helped me when I needed that help. when I needed that help. It helped me, you know, and it pulled some darkness out of me, and it healed and blossomed pieces of my personality, which gives me a respect for him and making me put him in a spotlight of light and like sainthood, or you know like I would want him to be in my Bible type stuff. And all of the children that I birthed from the work and looking at the debris, you know, because a lot of times when I get seed, it's because I'm digging. You know, the women up front, they get the seed. They get the physical seed and the plowing of the fields. But back here, I dig through the why and the reason behind the orgasm that he provided. And I take the nuggets of that truth and I clean it up and I turn it into a seed to go and plant within the world, you know. So maybe the joys and the pleasures of life and the luxuries of physical attachment was hard for a ghost to receive. And I'm just I'm in awe with how far that I've come and how when he never showed up in physical world reality as I'm taking over the darkness, when he didn't show up at the hospital at this last time, which was my 10th death time, when he didn't show up in physical form the way that I wanted, I decided that the story that he's writing is his own story, right? And this is a separation of identity that happens when marriages are going to start dissolving. You see that where he's off writing his own playbook and you're still lollygagging with the idea that maybe he would include you in his art. Like maybe he would include you in his life. And that stop for me, you know, was a very stagnant stop where I sat and I looked at nature and I said, Nature, if he's the one, give me a bee. And bees showed up. Oh, I must really want him to be the one. If he's this, then show me a line in the sky like he's writing, thinking about me, and a line would appear. So I'm getting all of these like approvals to say, okay, well, he's thinking about you in spirit where it counts. But when I get into the darkness of everything, it's like the thought never came physically to change the degree of separation. And I think that's the thing that made me want to separate because the thought of union in physical wasn't on his mind, right? When I died. And then that made me think of Hercules, remember? the girl left or got married and died with her partner or something like that, and he betrayed her, and she still died and he stayed alive. And it reminds me again, a selfishness of man. There's a selfishness that betrays God, a selfishness that I haven't figured out quite. But it became selfish when the balance became uneven of physical and spiritual toil between the two. You know, so my my pain kind of made me a little harder. It kind of like stiffened the praise and the honesty that exudes from me. Like it made me shut off that valve. Or not the valve, but that, like, yeah, made me want to shut off that valve because I felt betrayed and hurt. But then I remembered, okay, well, next lifetime, maybe I'll get it right then. Maybe I'll have another lifetime after this one to get it right, because I love Thoth. I love him, but I also love myself, you know? And Thoth is just the acronym of the husbands of the host of heavens, the husbands of the heavens. And there were 5 husbands in my lifetime that I had karmic ties to. And one, when they were married to another partner, and me coming in from a behind the scenes back spiritual and changing the front end because of the jealousy, right? So it's like you have your husband in real life, da 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 da, but you go on stage and you do acting and you kissing and stuff like that, and the wife gets jealous. And the wife gets jealous because of the play, right? The insecurities start aligning because they have more on-screen chemistry, and the on stream chemistry brings out that, what about me? What about me feeling? You over there, someone else wrote the words, I'm just saying them. But as soon as these actors get off this stage from kissing, they miss the world that they created. So I'm left out and they're back frolicking in the fucking forest because someone else's words, and they want to continue the story. So I'm tired of being the one being like, what about me? What about what I need? Dream girls type shit. I don't like having to point out to my partner, what about me? You know, the kids is all right. You all right. What about what I need? Who's going to ask me, honey, what do you need? I give you the right answer, the same answer every time. The patient line is not connected to the transfer. The same answer every time. Following on-screen instructions. It's never changed. What about me? What about me? So when them two get together and they're all on screen lovey dovey. I got the whole world telling me, the whole world saying, look, they have so much cash. Why are you here? Why is the why is the old ball and chain? They should be together because they have the better storyline. And so then I'm looking at my beautiful husband talking, if you want her and you have to follow your heart, go ahead, run, take, go ahead. And I always let it go. I always had this like, and at a certain point, you gotta let them go, right? But what about me? What about what I right? Just because I'm not acting up front, making out with some other actor, falling in love doesn't mean that I'm not falling in love. Because I'm falling in love with myself a lot. And it's getting to the point where I'm so comfortable being by myself. I enjoy the loneliness. Me sitting talking to God and not having to have some fucking two-piece conversation to add on, except my daughter being real loud. I can deal with that. She's a kid, she's my baby. But like, once you find this type of solitude, it's like being asexual sounds more pertinent than finding partnership. Oh, don't be. I'm not talking about LGBTQ. I'm talking about being at the bottom of the ocean and you're the only creature like you. You're the only creature. And the only thing you can do is birth from darkness yourself so you can have friends. You can have little finding Nemos. So all I say is I love him still to this day. It just shifted a little differently. It just shifted a little differently. And I wish him all the best, you know, and wherever he ends up. I don't want anything bad to happen to him. I want to find the happiness that I found inside of him, just myself in a different degree. The like joy and wonderment that I found searching through him, around him, at him, throwing mad love, mad love. Just to redirect it, see if I can have a little bit of that light that I passed. And I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for it. But I also think that I deserve somebody who does communicate to me. I do. I deserve it. Do you know how much fucking war I just started? They have to bow down now. And that's fine. But honestly, I'm ready. I'm ready to like introduce myself and my world to someone who listens and communicates to me the way that I wish. Probably leaves me notes everywhere. and doodles. Let me create. We can create our own little world together, like kids, but in adult bodies. Just someone I could play with, and play with. And I'm excited about the promise of tomorrow, the promise of future, because I wasted a lot of time waiting, and I didn't realize how much time I wasted until I looked at my waistline from 2023 to 2000 now 26. Oh my gosh. My body was a banging. Oh, I had divots and creases. I just got my dialysis in. I was like, I didn't change that much, but I thought I was like back then I didn't think I had, but now that I look at myself back then, I'm like, oh my God. What are you, a ballerina? I'm very impressed with myself. But I will say I miss listening to Andrew's music. But I like this little hiatus. Jack and Shadow are good. They're both fine. I'm just on to new prospects. On to new ideas, new yearning, new wanting. Yeah, because I had some toxicity around some of the masculines in my five zodiacs. These five zodiacs were Pisces, Capricorn, Aries, Taurus, Libra. I think they were, and it just got really toxic in there. Have you ever been hated or discriminated against? I have. I've been protesting. Picking times for my wicked rhymes. I'm sorry, mama. I never meant to hurt you. I never meant to make you cry. I'm cleaning out my closet. I got some skeletons in my closet. I don't know if no one knows it. I'll take you back to 73. Before I ever had a multi-platinum set, I was a baby. Maybe I was just a couple. My father must have had his patents up in the, because he's, but I wonder if he ever kissed me goodbye. No, no, 1 second. I look at Haley and I wouldn't picture leaving the side. Even if I hated Kim, I rub my teeth and I try to make it work for her, at least for Haley's sake. What I did was stupid, no doubt it was the smartest shit I'd take the bullets out of it, cause she, I want, I'm sorry, mama. I never meant to hurt you. I never meant to make you cry. I had some toxicity around some people. I used to date this kid, he 30 something. I was a kid, I was 20 something, 19 maybe, I don't remember. Um, I dated this guy named Steven Dorff. Oh, that was the worst. Oh, he had addiction problems too. He had little guy problems. He had problems with ego management, cheating. Oh, he was the biggest cheater I've ever met in my life. Liar and cheater at the same time. He was, he was the worst. I'm not gonna lie to you. He was the worst. But we did a lot of stuff which felt okay. It's like the first hit you get, then you're like addicted, right? You get a tiny piece of orgasm they probably found, in someone's pocket and stole it, but took his pocketbook and stole it. But you're like, oh, that's maybe I could train him in a way of the light and be a good man. So that nigga drug me through the mud. He dragged me through the mud. I bought a cosign on our house. Girl, dirty, that, that. That's what they what it was a mess. It was the worst. And I think I put myself in that simulation because I had daughters who were dealing with the meanest men. They were mean. Oh, some of them were so bitey because if you caught them cheating, if you if you caught them cheating, they would gaslight your ass